You're not having to input all of your credit card details every single time, all of your bank transfer information. It already exists, it's captured, and it's very similar to Amazon or the app stores. It's just, a click, a swipe, whatever it may be, and you would be able to either fund or even potentially work from your own account. So instead of funding, you connect the two, your wallet, to the application itself, which again allows you to grab your ID, as well as show that you have funds available to be able to gamble.
Welcome to Hashing It Out. I'm your host, Becky Liggero, and I am here with Phil Runyan, the CEO of Veridat. Phil, awesome to see you here in Barcelona. This is such a treat.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great to be here.
Yeah. So we're here for the WGES conference, and Phil and I are participating in a couple of blockchain panels to educate gambling industry professionals on the powers of blockchain, in particular BSV blockchain. And Phil, I know that you truly believe that using blockchain-powered digital payments to just fund a wallet, especially in the gambling industry, is a bit of a wasted opportunity. There's a lot more that we can be doing with this tech. So let us start, first of all, by talking about having a single ID for a player that they can own, that's validated on-chain, and why do you see this as a really large area for the gambling industry to focus on? Sure.
To your point, in only using blockchain or crypto, which is currently the standard model to only fund an account, again, to your point, is an amazing missed opportunity, especially in regards to identification and all of the additional services that can provide. As an example, if I own my ID, I have a single area where I fill out all of the pertinent information which validates me. I go through my anti-money laundering, my know your client, making sure that I'm not funding terrorism, right? So you can tackle all of these things in a single source and a token that you own. And instead of having to do this every single time you want to engage with an individual platform, you could basically 1-2 click your way into that platform. So from a frictionless perspective, you reduce that. So now instead of having to bribe customers to come and play, here's $1,000, here's $5,000, I believe that a lot of that can be reduced, especially in the bonus payments and the bonus hunting that is really prevalent in this industry, by saying, look, come on board, you can easily hop onto our platform, you can engage and make a decision for yourself if you want to continue that journey further.
Yeah, I think there's so much drop off when players have to enter information, you're entering your social and sending in IDs, it gets to be a bit crazy.
No, agreed. Think of how many times do you enter your social security number into anything in any given year?
It's memorized. That's scary. But yeah, so let's unpack it a bit, especially for those in our audience that are not as familiar with blockchain tech. When you say it's validated on chain, what does this mean? How can we do this?
This means that the information that you provide, you own it. In this particular sense, you wouldn't necessarily put your personal details on chain. What you would do is that by owning your information, there would be a hash potentially of this information, which would exist on chain, which basically takes all the information which you've put together, so your first name, your last name, your social security number, possibly biometrics from a facial scan, a scan of your identification, as well as whatever information comes back from that particular report to verify that, yes, this person is a real person, no, they're not funding terrorism, they're good to go. And a hash would be created of that. And that is really what exists on chain as a token. And as you owning that information would allow you to pick and choose who you'd like to allow to tap into that information.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely brilliant. And I know that when I've been going to a lot of these gambling conferences, I'm accompanied by N-Chain and Nick Hill, and they're talking about Kenze and responsible gambling, which is also a big issue that blockchain can help solve. But can you describe how having this one identity can help in the mission to have more responsible gambling in our industry today?
Right, that's absolutely right. The self-exclusion, responsible gambling take on this is so important right now. Yeah. To your point, if you are having a bad time, you've consciously said, I have a problem and I really need to take a step back. As problem gamblers typically do, they change their mind pretty fast after that and go, actually, you know what, it was just a bad run, it was a bad day, I can totally get it all back. Now, if your ID exists on chain, that token validates who you are. And so any other operator out there could then say, hey, I've utilized this technology to allow people to come in and utilize our service. And from that, if you have been flagged, that token has been flagged as being a problem gambler and the duration that's set on it, that person can then be rejected, which would then keep the operator from having fines levied against them for allowing self-excluded players from operating on their platform.
Yeah, it's a much safer way to operate, I would say. And speaking of compliance and regulations and regulators, anti-money laundering, you've mentioned it already, is a big thing. Are regulators going to be okay with blockchain technology? I know sometimes, well, a lot of the time, blockchain technology is associated with crypto and the dark market and all of this kind of thing. And I mean, in your experience, Phil, maybe just with regulators in general, what is their reaction to this tech that you're referring to?
So the feedback that I've received from regulators so far is that they're not adverse to these types of things. They have standard operating procedures for what they expect from any operator or supplier to provide them to validate that the right people are gambling and problem gamblers are not, whether it be from a location base or age or if they're spending too much, right, to be able to validate these things. On-chain verification augments what's currently there. So we're not saying, hey, operator, you're now just going to get this, this hash ID of a user. You're still able to capture the necessary information. So you're still well within the laws and compliance, mechanisms that are in place.
Okay, excellent. Very, very good. And another feature of the blockchain, especially BSV, that I wanted to get out there is micropayments, frictionless payments, instant payments, which is super unique and new and amazing for the gaming space, especially. Talk to me about frictionless payments, micropayments, instant payments, all the things I just said, and how this can be applied to the gambling industry space.
Sure. So the App Store has figured this out a long time ago. Instead of having 100 apps that you play and you buy virtual and currency items on, instead of having to put your credit card information in every single time, Amazon is another one that figured this out. E-commerce as a whole has figured this out. You put in your information to a single place, and then from there you're able to tap into it across multiple products. And in a sense, the blockchain technology that exists today would also facilitate the same thing. If your ID exists on a blockchain, so frictionless access to platforms, if your wallet, so when you go to buy, say, a stable token that is approved for use for your particular platform, in order to acquire it, you have to go through the same AML, KYC compliance. It's just like if you're going to open up a bank account, right? So they're validating that you are who you say you are, and you're operating with good intentions, and you don't have, again, these issues. And I keep going back to terrorism. It's probably a very small amount, but I think you get my point. Bad actors, right? Making sure that you're not on any watch lists or anything like that. Yeah. And so being able to have that, again, from a frictionless perspective, is that you're not having to input all of your credit card details every single time, all of your bank transfer information. It already exists, it's captured, and it's very similar to Amazon or the app stores. It's just, a click, a swipe, whatever it may be, and you would be able to either fund or even potentially work from your own account. So instead of funding, you connect the two, your wallet to the application itself, which again allows you to grab your ID, as well as show that you have funds available to be able to gamble. Yeah. And so now you also have the ability to have the money move in and out. The operators themselves are no longer holding cash.
Yes, they're not the bank anymore.
That's right.
And I love also how you could literally be betting maybe a penny on a slot or on some move that, I don't know, a footballer is going to make next. And this is really only possible when you use something like the BSV blockchain because the fees are not very high.
That's
at
correct.
all. They're very low, in fact.
Exactly. I'll give you a really good example. So I'm currently doing some testing on Polygon's network, right? And as part of that, I had BTC that I then converted, and then I had to convert again. So what went from like a $25 in BTC, like 2 conversions later and moving it, I ended up with about $11 in Matic to be able to actually do some testing against it. Yeah. And we do things like this just as not necessarily an exercise in futility or just reminding us why we use BSV, but there are other protocols that are out there, and it is a really good reminder of how frustrating it is to try to use them. Whereas if you move BSV from one wallet to the next, you don't even see a dollar difference in it. It's fractions of a penny, which makes it really beneficial. And this is something that we constantly tell people. It's like, look, it doesn't have to be this constant beating over the head of fees.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phil, I wanted to close off by actually recounting a conversation that we had over dinner last night with some friends of ours, how you can use blockchain and smart contracts to pay affiliates and to pay suppliers. And it's like with a click of a button, you're fanning out the payments to everybody all at once. And it's real time as opposed to waiting till the end of the month. So can you just tell our audience a bit more detail about this so they can understand how exciting this is?
Sure. With every transaction that comes through, as you mentioned, a smart contract, if you are an affiliate who sends in a user who then plays a slot game that has a 95% RTP with a theoretical 5% of the house, that 5% on every single click can then pay out whatever is supposed to go directly to that affiliate. It can pay out whoever is supposed to on the supplier side, whatever their percentage of rev share is. And it's all done in real time.
Amazing. Yeah, and I think it's a really big difference or distinction from affiliates getting paid in BTC or some crypto in order to maybe promote a black market operator or something like this. I don't know. But this is a really above board, very creative way to get people paid really fast.
Yeah, it really is. And to be honest with you, the token technology that currently exists in market right now, especially on BSV, is that we're starting to look more at stable coins. And this is really going to be the game changer, because at the end of the day, when I make a deposit or if I win money, if I win $10, I want my $10 to be $10 today. I want it to be $10 tomorrow. I want it to be $10 100 days from now, instead of the fluctuation that exists. A lot of operators who are currently utilizing cryptos just as a means of funding wallets, you have to turn that around really quick. So you're already getting bludgeoned with fees. And typically it's much higher than, say, 10% that you're going to get from a high-risk credit card issuer, right? The only difference is that you're not going to have the chargeback on it, which is good. But ultimately, stablecoins will allow, especially on BSV, will allow for that $1 payment to be a $1 payment today, and it's the same thing as tomorrow. So operators aren't constantly in the state of like, we have to sell it now because there could be some massive swing. I don't know if you saw BTC was at 47,000 from 58,000 the day before. Like, could you imagine taking $1 million in payments and now all of a sudden you're down 20%? Yeah. And it's just, operators are not going to stand for that. And so it's going to be really important that you do have a high throughput, low transactional fee stablecoin. And again, BSV really does an amazing job of that.
Yeah, that is a definite game changer right there, Phil. And I wanted to thank you again for spending time with me here today. Such a pleasure, again, to see you in Barcelona. What a surprise, pleasure. And thank you for educating our audience on all the opportunity we have here. It's really an exciting space, and can't wait for 2022 to kick off. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you guys so very much for watching Hashing It Out. This is Becky Liggero for CoinGeek.com.
Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin wallet, blockchain, stablecoins, MetaNet, the evolution of money. Everybody is talking about Bitcoin today, but what exactly is it? Learn the basics from experts. Learn what Bitcoin is, how it works, and why it matters. Bitcoin 101, your ultimate guide to the fundamentals of blockchain.